Hello everyone, I'm Lee Hogan and welcome to MXTV and your weekly hit of dirt bike action. Welcome Brendan Bell.
Thanks Lee, it's great to be here. Always good to be down at the Nunawading track.
It's amazing down here, absolutely love it. Let's check out what we've got in this week's show. We talk to Suzuki rider Todd Waters and belly chats with trainer to the stars Alden Baker. We'll show you all the action from the global KTM Enduro launch, so sit back and settle in for 30 minutes of action. Well Belly, first up we check in with factory Suzuki rider Todd Waters.
My name's Todd Waters, I'm 25 years old and I race for the Wilson Cool Air Factory Modal Suzuki team. Today for us, we've got a really short turnaround for the Supercross series. So we're just out here doing 3 days testing. We've got Corn out here, our mechanic. We're testing all sorts of things from gearing to different tyre treads, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Just the fact that we've missed 2 years at Supercross, so new team, we don't have a base really. We've got to put some work in and try and find our feet. It's just quite normal for me, stepping in and riding next to Luke. It's quite easy, we get on well. We're both pretty easy going, so there's never any problem really. 2012 I rode Suzuki, followed by KTM and then going overseas. It's different coming back from World GP racing team. It's obviously a lot bigger, crowds are big over there and racing's massive. So it was nice to be over there and get that experience. It's like turn your world upside down, to tell you the truth. A lot of different languages, there's different food, culture. So before you even hop on a motorbike, it's a hard and stressful thing to do, but I really enjoyed it. The racing is insane. The riders over there are next level, the tracks are big, the crowd, it gives you goosebumps on the back of your neck. It's a nice feeling racing in an environment like that. It's been a dream of mine since I was a young kid and it was nice to be able to tick that one off. And having my family come over and watch me race some of those races was nice also. Fondest memory, it's got to be getting the podium at Majura. That was a massive achievement for me. That's obviously what everybody strives to train for and is their ultimate goal, and I was pretty proud to be able to tick that one off. In Europe, I really never settled in. It was the weather, it killed me. I'm from Cairns. I'm used to the humidity and hot weather and to go over there and to be trying to cycle in the freezing cold, and it just is something that you don't get used to. It's tough. As for when you're racing the GPs, you're racing almost every weekend, and for example, you're traveling like 30 hours to Argentina, jet lag, all this kind of stuff. Like first 2 rounds, Qatar, Thailand. Before that, we're racing an Italian championship. 3 rounds, at one of the races it was snowing. The biggest thing that helped me was like little things like diet, making sure that I could eat properly at the airports and taking snacks, so when I was on the aeroplane, that made a huge difference for me. 3-year plan at the moment, you know, I'd like to see myself racing overseas again. I feel, you know, we did 1 year and in 1 year we grabbed a podium and like 3 top 5s. I just want to get back to how Todd Waters knows how to ride and try and go back over. At the end of the day, I thrive to race big races and I love being there, part of it all. So at the moment, short-term goal is focus on Todd Waters, get everything happening, people around me. Just a nice, close group of people that work well for me and up and onwards.
Welcome back to MXTV. Well, earlier in the year, KTM launched their all-new Enduro models over in Spain. And of course, we were there to check it out. Let's take a look.
G'day guys, I'm Mitch Lees. I'm the editor of Australasian Dirt Bike magazine. We're out here today with MXTV on the edge of Barcelona, Spain, to test the 2017 KTM EXC range. The entire 2017 EXC range received a complete upgrade to just about every part on the bike. The conditions we tested it in today were prime. We had a little bit of rain last night, which meant there was no dust. We had about a 15-minute loop, everything from tight single track to rocky hill climbs and some fast open spaces as well.
So as you can imagine, a world press launch of this magnitude takes a heck of a lot of planning. Maybe 6 months of planning goes into this event, and there's a lot of moving parts to it. There's, you know, the technicians with all the spare parts. There's the hospitality side, so getting all these journalists to the hotel, and the presentations themselves of the technical side of the motorcycles.
I think for me the big benefit is you get to meet all the designers, so you don't just read the brochure, ride the bike. You talk to the guys, you ask them questions about why they did something, how they did it. You know, those guys are just passionate about it. They all ride, they all love it. As they say, half their ideas come from when they're standing around in Mattighofen. They all live near the factory, having a beer, talking about it and trying to improve the breed. And, you know, I think that sort of philosophy obviously pays dividends.
We moved the major shafts, like the crankshaft, closer to the center of gravity. The benefit is an easier handling. The bikes in general also lost major weight. We have a newly developed front fork, an open cartridge fork. You can do the adjustment of the fork now from the top of the fork. On the backside, we developed a new PDS shock. The shock is mounted on top of the swing arm, no linkage. Also reworked system in the airbox. A great feature, the new map switch, offering standard map and an additional advanced map, providing higher performance, a little bit more aggressive performance for those who really want to race fast.
They said they'd reduce vibration by 50% with the counterbalancer in the thing. Might sound like a little thing, reducing vibration, but the spin-off benefits of that were kind of huge. And for me, it was like a really refined ride. You could hear the engine better, knew where you were in the rev range better, feel what the chassis and everything was doing. And it took me a while to kind of embrace the idea, but the traction control is just unreal.
We've been hitting hills and pretty much Australian type content, rocks, stuff like that. It's getting dusty, that reminds me of Australia. And it's been a really mint bike. 450, really, really good. The 350, completely different peak here. So light, it feels like a mountain bike.
My overall opinion on the EXC two-stroke range, the 250 and the 300, is that they are a far better machine than they were last year. The lack of vibration and the way the engine works now with a little more bottom end and that new Explore fork has made it a much better machine than the 2016 model. Of the four-stroke range, I was surprised to find my favourite bike was the 450 EXC. It probably had the most torque and the most usable power with the Map 1 selected and the traction control mode on. Just had traction everywhere and the power was so usable. That's all we've got today from the 2017 EXC launch. It has been an awesome day. KTM have put on one hell of a show. The bikes are sensational. I think across the board they are a big improvement over the 2016 model, which I would have thought would be hard to do. They're going to be available in Australia mid to late this year, so keep an eye out for them.
Here on MXTV, we have a money can't buy giveaway. It's a set of Ryan Dungey riding gear, and we mean his very own used riding gear. All you have to do is go to the MXTV Facebook page or Instagram page, like us and add the keyword, and you're in with a chance to win.
Thanks very much for welcoming me out here to your place here in Florida. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Brendan, great to have you around and nice to have you under mellow circumstances in a great area. Yeah, it's so cool.
Tell us, mate, what's happened in the last year? I know the Baker factory's got a lot bigger since I was there last time.
Yeah, we're coming along good. I mean, we've got, you know, the two Supercross tracks. The outdoor track is good, and I feel like we've got a good setup. I've got a good bunch of guys, you know, with me and riding, and I feel like we're really in a good place.
The guys turn up and everything is there. Now, how good is that for a rider? You know, like it is really professional.
Yeah, and that was the goal, is to have the one-stop place. And finally, the gym, which wasn't a priority in the beginning, but that's coming around, and still there's some machines coming, and there's going to be a second story in there. So there's still things that are on that project that are going to make it a lot better. But it is important for them to be able to come to a place and be able to get everything done, and also kind of feel like homely. It's something that they want to be at and not be, let's get this done and get out of here.
What's happening with the 4 guys now? How do you deal with 4 guys and one being an enduro rider?
I've always felt that 4 is really manageable. The group that I have, obviously, you know, we all know that Ryan's the number 1 guy, you know, and then Marvin, having moved up from the 250 to the 450, basically the rookie, and then I feel you've got Jason Anderson kind of in between. You know, they've all got the potential, both Marvin and Jason, to be the next guy. Then I've got Caleb, who's off-road, so he's no threat to these guys. Yeah. But I think it's good for him, because what he does is a lot different, a lot longer, but the intensity levels are different.
When you say Dudgie's your number 1 guy, does that mean you put more effort into Ryan? Or?
No, actually that's questions come up quite a few times. No, they're all monitored the same. They're just at different stages in their career and at their levels. Ryan's a multiple champion. We all know where he's at, and the other riders also look at him in that way. You know, not to say that they feel like we've got no chance against this guy. No, they can easily, and on days are faster than him. To me, it's just a case of getting that mentality right, where, you know, they can see where they're going and use it as a platform to make themselves better.
So, my question, who trains the hardest out of the 4 boys now?
You know, that's a tough question. You know, I mean, they all give their full effort. So I can't say that you can really pinpoint who trains the hardest.
The reason I ask that is, you see, there's always that one guy that stays back at training, kicks balls, and is there one that, you know,
I think with, you know, motocross and supercross, when you start to really see that, is which one is the one that's really wants to apply himself the most, it's under difficult situations. I always say the guy that you see that's the last to leave on the test days, he's more likely the guy that's really committed, because no one likes that part of it. And I got to give respect to Ryan, because he's done a lot of those days where it's almost the sun's going down and you got to quit now, and then he has to.
I think that's impressive with Ryan as well, because he's been at it for so long. And he's won championships, he's done things. I think that's pretty cool that he's still driven to, you know, want to win, and that's why he does win.
Right, and that is the tough one, because as you get further in on the years of doing these seasons and these long championship runs, or, you know, series, it is impressive to see the guys, you know, commitment and the will to still push on, even through, you know, ups and downs, and that to want to come back and do it right and give that extra effort, you know.
Today I want to talk to you about something that is a must-have if you're a trail bike rider, a motocross rider, or a parent that has a motocross rider in their family. It's a personal locating beacon, or a PLB, from KTI. Now, what does it do? Well, in the event that you might have an accident and you need to call an ambulance out in the bush somewhere, this thing here, once you push the button, it activates to the GPSs, and what then happens is it calls the emergency department, and you'll have a helicopter that will know exactly where you are on this earth to be able to pick you up, come to your rescue, and hopefully take you back to the hospital, fix you all up, and be back on your bike in no time. Now, the absolute beauty of this thing is, for trail bike riders and motocross riders alike, is it's very small. I'll show you up against a pair of Oakley air brake goggles just for a comparison of exactly how small it is. It fits one eyepiece. That's how small this thing is. It's a great little handy device that I think you must have if you're trail bike riding with a group of friends, or God forbid, if you even go by yourself, which you should never do, always take a friend with you. But this is going to be your best friend in case of an emergency. Let me tell you 3 things you need to know about the PLB from KTI. The first thing you need to know is it runs off a COSPAS and SARSAT system. What does that really mean? It just means that it's military grade GPS system, so it's a lot easier for the search and rescue people to find you when you need them most. It also has a strobe light for location at night time. The second thing you need to know, it costs less than $300 and it comes with a 10-year standby battery life and a 10-year warranty. There's no registration, no hidden fees and no extra costs. However, after 10 years, if you haven't used it or if you have used it, you can give it back to the manufacturer and they'll replace the battery for a further 10 years of use. And the third thing you need to know is the Safety Alert PLB is designed and manufactured right here in Australia, employing Australians. So guys, a KTI PLB Safety Alert system is something I don't leave home without, and if you're a dirt bike rider, you shouldn't either.
Today we're testing the latest 2017 model Kawasaki KX450. Can't wait to get out there and give it a bit of a try. There's not too much that's been changed on this model. Of course, the massive change for them was 12 months ago. However, there's a couple of very important little changes that are going to play a good factor out there on the track. We'll start off with a slightly remolded knuckle on the shock linkage. It's aimed at making that rear end just a little bit lower. We've got a bit of a redesigned swing arm as well, so those two things work nicely together. We're still keeping with the same suspension components, both up front and in the rear of the bike. However, Kawasaki have done a little bit of tweaking and changed up the valving a little bit. Now there's a couple of changes to the engine, but these are aimed more at reliability and maintenance-wise rather than performance. So we'll see how they work out there on the track, see if I can actually feel anything. Now, I know we say it quite often, when we have a bike that hasn't changed much, we say bold new graphics. Well, with this one, we actually have some very special bold new graphics because they're inbuilt into the plastic. You can't pull them off. A nice new one there for Kawasaki. Well, there you have it. We just spent the day testing the Kawasaki KX450F, the new 2017 model. Now, the first thing that I noticed, the rear end of this bike with that new knuckle, it is noticeable. It does squat a little bit nice for the corners, sets yourself up, and it seems to drive nicely out of the corners as well. Now, talking about the engine, the motor department on this bike, it's just like it was in 16, which is a nice, meaty, torquey power, a lot of bottom end through to a good strong mid-range, but not heaps of top end over rev. Now that's how you really want your 450s to be production wise. If the big boys racing the Nationals want to extract a bit more power out of it, nice and easy to do so. One thing you do notice when you're riding the big Kawasaki 450, just like the last year's model for 2016, this bike is very manoeuvrable, easy to flick around in the air, and you can really notice it out here in Ride Park with the big jumps. A lot of fun, almost feels like a 250. Well, as always, there's one thing on every particular bike that I always think that I would change first of all before anything else. And a lot of the time it might be the brakes, it might be the grips. On the Kawasaki, while it already does have a nice meaty, deep note to it, I'd definitely pop an aftermarket exhaust on there just to try to liven it up a little bit and make a little bit of a nicer note to it. But overall, fantastic. This bike, you don't really need to change too many things. Straight out of the crate, they've got a big 270mm front disc rotor. You can stop a Mack truck with these things. Nice, easy pull to the clutch. The grips, yeah, we'd probably put something on a bit nicer, something a bit softer for my old hand so I don't have to tape them up. But overall, what a sensational package that Kawasaki have done once again for 2017.
For all your motorcycle insurance needs, visit swanmotorcycle.com.au.
Lee, that went so quick, mate. Are you sure that was 30 minutes?
Well, it didn't feel like 30 minutes, but we need to talk to someone, try to bump this up to an hour, I reckon.
Ooh, sounds like a plan, mate. I like it. But before we go, don't forget, get your entries in for the Ryan Dungey giveaway because there's not long to go.
There certainly is not long to go, but our time has come to an end here for this episode. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you have a good ride on the weekend, and whatever you do, hold it on!
Ah, got the whole shot.